What's the most WTF way you've seen someone brag about being rich? This kid in my high school got a Porsche 911 the day he got his permit. He was chauffeured to school in it every day for the next 6 months by his personal driver. When he got his license, he drove it for like 3 months and then complained about having to downgrade to a BMW M5 because it handled snow better. Well, he's an idiot, because the 911 is actually pretty amazing in snow if you put snow tires on it. The M5 will always suck in snow with those steamroller tires and massive weight. I knew a girl in primary school who said her dad was so rich that she'd be at Eton, but her mum said she should mix with normal people and go to a state school. She threw a tantrum when I called her out on it because her dad worked for the council. B. Eton is a secondary school and C. Eton is a boys' school. Every time someone says anything to my cousin about her stuff, she has to make a point to tell you how much it costs. For example, you, wow, nice house. My cousin, thanks, it was $5 million. You, I like your shoes. My cousin, thanks, they were $2,500. You, nice nose. My cousin, thanks, it was $20,000. I had a guy come into the GameStop I used to work at that would tell stories about throwing money off balconies. He went to buy this game once, and after I told him the total, he pulled out an absurd wad of 100s and counted them all out on my counter. After reaching $7,000, he then asks, "Wait, how much was it again?" Blank stare. $18. Frick you, Tesh. A friend paid for dinner the other night saying I'm about to drop $250 to cover everyone's tabs loudly and repeatedly. He then yelled, "This bill is nothing to me. I just got a huge check from my company. I freaking love being rich." He is also on Reddit and follows my comments, so now he knows that we all know. The son of the governor came into my retail store complaining of a broken dishwasher. I checked to see when he purchased it. He'd owned it for 2 years. I told him there was nothing that I could do other than help him get it serviced or sell him a new one. Both options would leave him without a dishwasher for more than a week. He snapped at me and told me how he couldn't do dishes manually because his time was worth more than that. He proceeded to tell me how much he makes per hour and asked if I was going to come do his dishes. I said, "No, but if you make that much you should be able to afford some paper plates." Nice reply. My ex is a very successful lawyer with his own firm. After I would cook dinner for us, we would sit at the large dining room table and he would make a point to sit at the opposite end, 12 featuring away. I would comment about it saying I wish he would sit closer while just the two of us ate. He would reply, "You obviously wouldn't understand, but this is how rich people eat." He also left price tags on everything he would purchase for his house, face up, so everyone could see his ugly $12,000 lamp. Haha, maybe in freaking cartoons rich people eat like that. A kid I knew really wanted a PS2, and there was this rich kid who knew this and bought 2 PS2s and smashed one in front of the kid who had wanted one. This is, despite all the tales of cars, bragging and money pics in this thread, the most douchey of all. There's a guy in my group who can't stop talking about how awesome it is that his rich mom pays for everything for him. The funniest thing to watch is when he's hitting on our waitress, because he always hits on the waitress every time we go out, and the check comes, and he proudly tells her that his bill is going on his mom's credit card. Oh yeah, dude, you're really going to impress her with that one. My dad had a better story than any I have. Basically, when he was growing up, one kid he went to school with and lived near was rich. This kid wasn't averse to announcing it too, but his favorite way of displaying it was with new trinkets, toys. So one day, he emerges into daylight with a brand new, and quite fancy, skateboard. This is early on, when skateboards weren't yet associated with names like Tony Hawk and so on. After trying for all but 30-40 minutes and not being able to land a single trick, the douche gets fed up, picks up the skateboard, and hurls it into a wooded area off the road. As he does this, he screams, "Fight for it, peasants." I hope your dad got it. I used to help tutor a self-described rich kid. One time he had just purchased a new car. I believe it was an Audi something or other. We were out for drinks with my other friend, who was a corporate lawyer. My lawyer friend was by no means poor, so the Ashat with the Audi made the mistake of rubbing it in my face that he had a new car. He said something like, well, if you keep tutoring successful people like me, maybe one day you too could have something nice. My lawyer buddy just started laughing. He then said, get fricked you crappy mama's boy. My dad owns the dealership you got that crap car from. It's financed. Unlike my Escalade which I paid for in cash. Maybe if you keep studying, one day you won't have monthly payments. Like a freaking commoner. I guess my lawyer friend was sticking up for me. It's the thought that counts. Rich people fights tend to be a lot funnier than other fights. I was bumped up to first class on my way home from a trip. I've never been in first class and assumed it was just better seats and food options, but I was suddenly treated differently, as if I had suddenly become more important than everyone else on the plane. I especially remember at the end of the flight when first class was unloading. My bags were still in the back of the plane, so I didn't get up right away and was planning on waiting for everyone to get off before me. The flight attendants offered to make everyone make way for me to get to the back of the plane, get my bags, and get off. I told her that I didn't want to inconvenience everyone, and she responded, maybe they are the ones inconveniencing you. This statement took me by surprise. Is this really the way rich people think? Perhaps not the most WTF story ever, but it was shocking for me. You actually pay more for all these services and not so much for the seats, etc. Man, this sucks. My mum only got me the less expensive Lamborghini model instead of the more expensive Lamborghini model. A 16-year-old male whose dad raced horses where I waited tables. Although I did get a $100 tip for getting his dad a cup of coffee and him a Monster. Kids of all types can be buttholes. You don't have to be a rich kid to be a self-entitled butt. My friend asks another friend, why does he always carry so much cash on him? Over $2,000 on a random Thursday night. To which he replied, you never know when you'll have to buy a car. Yes, the guy was dickhead. Sounds like he was really just a poor planner. Me, I always know when I have to buy a car at least a day or two ahead of time. Saw a girl in my college class absolutely break down after receiving a phone call. She re-entered the classroom crying, red in the face, etc. We all rushed to her to ask her what was wrong. She broke the news to us that her dad had forgotten to give her shopping money for later. She had acted like her entire world would be ending. The looks on our faces turned from worry to disbelief. Reading this thread, I'm getting a better understanding of why history is dotted with incidents of very poor people brutally murdering very rich people. My first thought was, when the revolution comes, all those rich kids of Instagram will end up in the guillotine. I'm so peed my mom. I mean, it's my 16th birthday, not hers. I should be able to get the BMW if I want it. She just keeps pushing the Mercedes on me though. I am going to be so mad if my birthday rolls around and the Mercedes is out front. It felt like I was in a MTV show. I wanted to throw up. My ex-roommate's parents are millionaires. The wife is an alcoholic biologist, and the husband is a pill-popping doctor that's been banned from practicing at our local hospital, so he runs a private practice out of his house. My roommate would flaunt the money by spending hundreds a night at the strip club on drinks, etc. For her 20th birthday, her parents got her lap band surgery and constantly bragged about it. I went to a bar at school with my fiancée and some friends. We sat near a guy and a girl on a first date. The girl, on numerous occasions, actually complained about various vacations she went on with her family. Like the guy would mention something, she would bring up how something similar happened when she went to X, and then would make a negative comment about the trip or the location. I could hear most of this because she was so freaking loud. By the time we left, the guy was visibly checking other girls out and genuinely not listening to her at all. My cousin put up a post on Facebook complaining that since her son and husband moved to their new neighborhood, they only ever see Bentleys, Jaguars, Range Rovers and the like driving down the streets. She was complaining that when she and her son now go on walks, they are getting bored of calling out all the same cars, and she wishes that someone would just drive a dang Toyota and make our walks interesting. Haha, I'm visiting Newport Beach right now. Such is life. There's a Swedish thing called vaska-ing, to put something in the sink, which is popular amongst semi-rich kids. Basically, they order two of the same champagne hamburger whatever and ask the staff to pour one in the sink. Not really sure if this counts. The WTF factor was different than you'd be expecting. Stayed at a very nice hotel in the middle of Melbourne for a week or so. Total cost $10. Dad knew the owner of the hotel, who insisted we pay nothing. Dad insisted that we had to pay something, so an agreement was made. The second day we spent with him, he greeted us in the lobby, the main noticeable thing being his thick, shaggy looking jumper. He pointed out that it was because he was coming down with a cold, so he's being careful. We head to his new car. Through conversation he pointed out that he buys a new one every 2 years or so, and drive off. Along the way he's pointing out hotels that he used to own, or ones he was considering buying. Also mentioned how an AFL team had asked for a $3 million sponsorship deal. He turned it down, because hey, for 3M he'd want to own the team. We went to one of his restaurants for lunch. It was awesome. We also visited one that was currently being built. Also had to visit his head office for some stuff, and a brief tour around some Melbourne suburbs, including pointing out another of his restaurants. Then we went back to his house for dinner. The house was quite large, and on an extensive property. If I recall, my dad worked out a property that size could fit 15 small residential properties on it. The WTF factor in this is how he never really bragged. The jumper really was kind of shaggy. He also joked around with the receptionist in the lobby. The car topic never came off as bragging. The conversation jokes kind of led there, not him. The pointing out hotels were because we passed them. Dad asked about it. The AFL sponsorship deal was after the sport came up in conversation, and he focused more on how it was a ridiculous amount of money to ask for, as opposed to yeah, I have that much. He was able to introduce us to his staff at the restaurant, because he was involved in his business and knew them. At the building one, he insisted on making me a chocolate thick shake, because he learned how through the business and thought he had perfected it. It was a damned good thick shake. The tour was to show us places most tourists to the city don't get to see. At his house we didn't see much of the inside, because there was no need to, apart from going to the toilet and such. We had dinner outside in his awesome pergola, which included a decent sized kitchen. He and his wife cooked for us, and insisted we relax. Through all of that, he never once gave off "I'm rich, you're not, suck it" vibe. He was just an awesome dude that happened to earn himself a fortune. TLDR. Pointed out hotels and restaurants he owned and sponsorship deals he rejected. Still never came off as bragging about it. In elementary school some kid claimed he was so rich his poop was made of gold. He said he's nice so he gives poor people his poop. Saw a white boy at a movie theater with some skanky looking girl that he was trying to impress. Walks up and orders a $7 popcorn. Hands the lady a $100 bill. She just looks at him and says, "You have anything smaller?" He pauses for a sec and says, "Yeah, I guess," and proceeds to hand her one of the tens in his wallet. Working as a cashier, a customer brought items up but told me to wait for his girlfriend. His girlfriend, about 10-20 years younger than him, had flowers. He exclaims, "You're going to get dirt on the BMW seats." He then turns to me and says, "I drive a BMW 745 aisle, don't care." Next, I ask if he would like to pay cash, credit, or debit. He takes out his card, taps it on the counter to show it is not plastic but metal. Ooh fancy, and says, "American Express, black." Whoop-de-doo. You drive a BMW 7 Series and have a black card. You have a large credit limit and a luxury sedan. Jokes on him when you don't accept American Express. Just a few weeks ago one of my friends posted that he bought a horse to go along with the amount of property he has. Now he is posting about how the horse has gas, grazing too much, and he is scared to try to go near it. I'm about ready to call animal control anonymously, fearing that it is being neglected by a grown man that wanted a pony and got one. You probably should. A friend overheard the following in a Dallas bar after her friend turned down some frat boys. "Doesn't she know my trust fund is bigger than her clit? So that's 2 things he can't touch until he's grown up." From my experience, people that actually have money or come from money do not talk about it. It's those with fleeting wealth that brag. I make and sell custom jerseys for a local sports team. which is not the cheapest merchandise. And one night a few weeks ago a customer was talking to me about this and that and thinking about making a purchase. He was asking me all kinds of strange questions about whether I believe in God, whether I believe in marriage, if I have a husband, if I'm an honest Christian, etc. Generally making me a little uncomfortable. As well, he kept pulling out this huge wad of hundreds and leaving it on the counter in front of me to show that he could obviously afford whatever he wanted. A second customer approached. A shaky old man who was obviously not very well off, but I had seen him before and knew he had saved up some money to buy a couple jerseys. I'm not sure how exactly it got to this point, as they had exchanged words and began posturing and whatever. But the rich man, being kind of an butthole, made a comment to the second man that he probably has more money in his one pocket than the other man has total. He bet $10, and the second man was feeling pretty confident as he had saved up a lot for this day, and so he took it. He counted his money out on the counter in front of me. Close to about $1,200 total. The rich guy, smug dong he was, calmly began counting his cash, getting to $3,000 and then pulling out more money that he had in his other pockets and wallet. He doesn't stop until he's reached $5,000 and then tells the poorer man to pay up the 10 he owes. The other man is upset and his daughter comes up and tells him to keep his cool and asks why he would even agree to that stupid bet and has to pull him away from my stand. The rich guy then says to me, some people, how he didn't end up buying anything, and as he left he told me to keep being a good Christian. The whole experience left a very sour taste in my mouth and left me feeling upset the rest of the night. Who the frick does that? TLDR. Rich man challenges a poor man to a money counting contest. Well, this is just horrible. I was getting quite serious with an extremely rich man that I was dating. His parents did not like me because I didn't come from money and often referred to me as his assistant. I corrected them every single time and said no, he doesn't pay me. I'm his girlfriend. His father came back one time and said I wasn't pretty enough to be his girlfriend and that I should stop deluding myself. After 5 years of dating, he proposed. We shared the good news with his parents. His mother said she wasn't going to speak to him again and that I wasn't welcomed in her home. My fiance's father had the nerve to offer me money to get away from his son and never speak to him again. He flashed several thousand in front of me and said something to the effect of, "This is what you're worth. Now get out of our lives." I paused for a moment and then took the money. My fiance and I are getting married the end of next month. I donated the money the father gave me and mailed him a letter thanking him for his very charitable donation. I bet smoke was coming out of his ears when he got the letter. I also let him know that whether rich or poor, being a good person is what is most important in life. And no, we did not mail them an invite. Dang you go girl. My first post. Being a medic in the military, I was sent down to San Antonio, Texas for training after I finished basic training. Our 8, advanced individual training, is one of the longest in the army, about 5 months, and we have a lot of dropouts. So, what I'm trying to say is, it was considered hard to graduate. My buddies and I decided to seize the giddiness we were feeling our last day and went to a somewhat pricey steakhouse. The total came to about $800.00 between the 4 of us. We had already blown most of our money on plane tickets and gear, so we're freaking out. After we got the check, I walked outside to smoke a cigarette and ponder what the fastest escape route was, hoping we could blend in with the thousands of other military guys walking around. That's when I heard this loud as frick roar behind me, and no crap, this beautiful Maserati pulls up into the parking lot. If my pants weren't tight enough at this point, this smoking hot blonde gets out of the passenger's seat. I turn to the guy who was driving, young dude, and say, "That is an awesome ride." No crap. Without even looking in my direction he says, "Which one?" So at this point I'm thinking, this dude's a freaking dong. Yet, with a gorgeous blonde and a badass car you can afford to be whatever you want, right? Anyway, finished my smoke, walked back in, and we tried for the next hour to stall paying. Finally, when my buddy pulled his wallet out, the server said it was already taken care of, along with the tip. I instantly looked across the restaurant at the guy. He gave me a thumbs up. I hope to God 100 vaginas found his crotch that night. San Antonio has some of both the nicest and most de-baggy rush people in the US. I have an acquaintance whose family is loaded. This family went through a rough time when their son, acquaintance's brother, died in a plane crash. It was through a university because his brother had been going to school to become a pilot. A few years later, my acquaintance and I meet up at a bar and he starts telling me about how his family is trying to sue the university because the guy died while in their program. And he was happy about it. It seemed to me like he had forgotten his brother had died and just cared about getting more wealthy. This was also fricked up to me. I can't look at this kid the same way, which is why I say he's an acquaintance. Dealing craps to Phil Ivey, poker legend. He got flown in by a private jet with an entourage of teenagers, saying, "If they can't be on the gaming floor, I'll take my 5 million elsewhere." He bought in with a 5 million marker, and then played about 250,000 across on the craps game. He'd have one of the kids shoot the dice for him, and when they'd crap out, he'd yell, "See what you just did? You just made me lose more money than you'll ever make in your life. How does that make you feel? You just lost me a $250,000. How do you feel about that?" The kids looked down each time without answering. I had small back and forth with him over a technical term regarding the game. "Hold the freaking table up. Stop the game. I want to see the casino manager," he said. The casino manager walked over to him and he whispered in her ear. She walked away and everyone I worked with gave me death stares, especially the other managers around. I was terrified. A while later another dealer walks up and replaces the dealer across from me. Then Phil Ivey says, "Now the only people here are guys who like P. No more F on this table." Then he winked at me. The dealer he had taken off the game was really gay, and I spoke with him shortly after. He was completely humiliated. He joked about suing Ivy, but said he'd never sink so low. No, but he could sue the casino if they actually removed him from his job because he was gay and humiliated him in doing so. It seems like that would be some sort of discrimination. If it happened as stated, a lawsuit might make the casino think twice about how they treat their employees. I have a friend who I consider to come from an affluent family and he judges people on how big their house is, or if he can't see that, how expensive their shoes are. I don't know if he'll be able to get a good look at my shoe that far up his butt. I was going to this fancy restaurant in SF and this guy in a Porsche 911 convertible was about to back into this street parking spot when another dude with his girlfriend in a Lexus convertible pull into the spot. Lexus guy gets out of the car laughing and tells Porsche guy, "Now that's fast." The Porsche guy sits there for a second and then proceeds to lay some rubber and smash into the Lexus. Lexus guy and girl are standing on the sidewalk with their jaws dropped. Porsche guy gets out of his car, walks over to Lexus guy, hands him his insurance card and says, "Now that's rich." If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.